So if you're still finding that you're struggling a little bit with breaking down complex shapes, another piece of advice would be to look at the negative space, which is looking at the space and the shapes around the actual object. For example, we're going to be looking at this shape here. It's a wacky, pointy, crazy shape with all these different edges and points. And it can be a bit intimidating and daunting to think, how am I going to draw this? But if we look at the space or the shapes outside of the object, so these little triangles here, these white triangles, which is called negative space, you start to realize that we can draw this by just drawing the triangles or the negative space outside. So these triangles, so we're looking at these triangles here, there, and all around. So if we're going to redraw this, we're going to set this up here, and we're just going to draw this triangle here. We're going to draw this triangle here. Going to draw this triangle here. We're going to draw this little triangle there, this one here, this little one again, and continue doing so. So by doing this, instead of being kind of intimidated and a bit scared of drawing this crazy wacky shape, all we're doing is breaking down the negative space of the object. We're drawing the shapes that you can see all around the wacky, crazy shape. So this is a good exercise if you're still finding yourself struggling a little bit with complex shapes and breaking objects into their basic shapes. You can then start applying this technique of looking at negative space into real life objects. For example, we're going to take Chaz, the piñata, and I'm going to try to draw her. But this time, we're going to look at negative space, or the space and shapes around Chaz. So when I'm first looking at Chaz, I might want to think about drawing her legs, and then her back, and then her head and ears, and all this stuff. But I can make it simpler by looking at the negative space. If I'm looking at the space between Chaz's legs, then I can see that there's kind of a small curvy rectangle. So something like this. And then to draw around the back of her legs and the back of her body and then her neck, I'll draw this curvy shape like this. And then from there, I can draw the other side of her. So following this shape that looks a little bit like this. And just like that, I've drawn the outline of Chaz. So instead of focusing on what Chaz and the object actually looks like, I've been drawing the space around her. And if we move these shapes out, these are the shapes we're looking at. So that's one shape here, and then this shape's over there. And this small little rectangle just below. So just like that, I've managed to draw a real life object just from observation using negative space.